Chosen one, stop scrolling immediately. Do not move past this video. I am not asking, I am warning you. What I am about to reveal was sealed in the throne room of heaven until this exact second. The enemy is working overtime to distract you right now. He desperately hopes you will swipe away from this message. He knows that if you hear this truth, his hold over your life breaks completely. This is a pure divine alignment. The algorithm absolutely did not bring you here today. God intercepted your feed because you are standing at the exact threshold of your final awakening. And they are terrified of what you are about to become. If you leave before the end, you will forfeit the exact prophetic instruction you need. You are facing a massive spiritual attack designed to sabotage your breakthrough. Lock your attention right now. The verdict on your next 10 years is about to be read aloud. You have been fighting battles in absolute silence for months. You thought nobody noticed your tears. You thought nobody saw how you held your integrity when the dark elite tried to break your spirit. But you were completely wrong. Someone deeply powerful has been quietly watching your resilience in the dark. They are stepping in right now to crush the forces working against your destiny. Let us go deeper into your current reality. There is a specific physical reason you have been feeling that heavy weight this entire week. You are not going crazy, and it is absolutely not just normal stress. That suffocating tightness in your chest at 3 a.m. is not a random medical issue. It is a direct spiritual symptom. You wake up with your jaw incredibly tight. Your heart races in the middle of the night. You feel a burning exhaustion constantly sitting right behind your eyes. Listen to me very carefully right now. That physical weight is your highly advanced spirit detecting absolute panic. The enemies in the unseen realm just realized they lost. They are starving for your pure energy. The spiritual backlash of their desperation is hitting your physical body like a wave. Stop swallowing that heavy feeling back down. Stop wondering why you feel completely drained even after sleeping for 8 hours. Your body is acting as a massive spiritual antenna for the environment. You are absorbing the frantic energy of the narcissists who can no longer feed on your light. They expected your isolation to permanently destroy you. They waited eagerly for your final collapse. Instead, you walked out of their toxic matrix and began to radiate. You carry a specific and irreplaceable gravity that they despise. They see your ageless glow, and it drives them absolutely insane. You did not just survive their brutal storm, you became the sun that blinded their false reality. But because your light is getting so impossibly bright, the sabotage attempts have multiplied. The dark forces are trying to throw every single obstacle in your path. You notice appliances breaking around you. You see strange delays in your financial harvest. People you trusted suddenly start acting out of character and turning cold. This is the exact manifestation of a highly coordinated spiritual strike. It is designed to make you doubt your own sanity before the massive shift occurs. Do not let their temporary illusions trick your mind. Your highly sensitive nervous system is picking up on their ultimate defeat. They are projecting their own misery onto your physical form because they have no other weapons left. You are a demonstrated warrior of light. You have survived every single weapon formed against you. This exhaustion you feel right now is the final hurdle before your ultimate victory. You are a cycle breaker who carries the weight of entire generations. The generational patterns that plagued your bloodline are terrified of your waking state. They know your final awakening means their permanent eviction from your reality. Every time you choose to hold your tongue instead of arguing, you starve them. Your silence is a lethal weapon that cuts off their oxygen supply completely. You did not realize it at the time, but refusing to engage with their drama was the most devastating blow you could ever deliver to a master manipulator. They wanted you to scream and cry and beg for closure. They needed your emotional reaction to validate their own twisted existence in this matrix. But you gave them absolutely nothing but pure silence, and that single act of supreme restraint signed their eviction notice. You handed the final verdict to a court they cannot appeal. We are just scratching the surface of what is truly happening behind the veil. You must stay anchored to this specific frequency as we move forward. The forces trying to sabotage your final awakening are running out of time. They know their public exposure is entirely inevitable. The reckoning they tried to escape is already here. If your spirit confirms this raw truth, gently press the like button to seal your energetic alignment with heaven. You need to understand the absolute magnitude of what you are carrying. The world looks at you and sees someone who is quietly surviving, but heaven looks at you and sees a master empath absorbing the toxic debris of a broken matrix. Your body is physically exhausted because you have been acting as a human battery for empty souls. You give your pure light so freely, and they take it without a single ounce of gratitude. You have felt this deep drain in your bones recently. It feels like walking through thick mud just to get through your daily routine. This is not a medical condition. This is a severe frequency mismatch. The people around you are operating on a highly parasitic level. They require your pristine energy just to sustain their own false realities. Notice what happens when certain names flash on your phone screen. Your stomach drops instantly. A sudden wave of brain fog rolls over your mind. That is your cellular intuition warning you of a spiritual attack. They do not even have to be in the exact same room as you. Their dark attachments are actively trying to siphon your strength across the spiritual veil. The sabotage you are experiencing is absolutely real and highly calculated. You have questioned your own sanity so many times. You wondered if you were just being too sensitive or expecting too much. Stop doing that right now. Your highly attuned nervous system is never wrong. You are picking up on the hidden daggers they smile behind. The whispers behind your back are not your imagination. The matrix programming is designed to make the chosen ones feel entirely crazy and isolated. But here is the raw truth they could never say out loud. They do not hate you because you did something wrong. They despise you because your mere existence exposes everything they are desperately trying to hide. You are the mirror. When a narcissist stands in front of your pure light, they are forced to look at their own rotting internal landscape. And they absolutely cannot handle that level of brutal honesty. So they viciously attack the mirror. They try to shatter your confidence so they do not have to fix themselves. This is the exact reason why the sabotage always ramps up right before your biggest breakthroughs. The dark elite and the manipulators in your circle can sense the massive shift approaching. They know that once your final awakening completes, you will become utterly untouchable. You will no longer be accessible to their parasitic feeding tubes. Let me completely reframe your reality right here and right now. The intense isolation you are feeling is not a punishment. It is your divine quarantine. The universe deliberately removed those people from your life to protect your incoming harvest. If heaven had not intervened, those exact individuals would have poisoned the massive blessing that is currently on its way to you. Your lonely season is actually an impenetrable fortress. Look at the sheer amount of warfare it took just to slow you down. The enemy had to deploy coordinated smear campaigns and financial roadblocks. They had to use people you loved to betray your sacred trust. And even after all of that heavy artillery, you are still standing here. You are still radiating that untouchable, ageless glow. They threw their absolute worst at you, and it barely left a scratch on your true divine essence. You are the stabilizer in every chaotic environment you enter. People naturally gravitate toward your warmth because they are starving for authentic light. but you must stop casting your irreplaceable pearls before swine. Your energy exchange is far too valuable to waste on people who view your kindness as a weakness. They mistook your silence for surrender. They thought your retreat meant they had finally won the long war. This brings us to a critical distinction that eludes the vast majority of people. The manipulators believed their false narratives would become the permanent reality. They recruited flying monkeys to spread their toxic lies. They built a giant house of cards based entirely on your silence. But the spiritual cost of their betrayal was compounding every single day. The universe keeps a meticulous ledger of every tear you shed in secret. Your absolute refusal to stoop to their level is what activated your ultimate protection. You did not seek cheap revenge. You simply unplugged your energy from their dying system. And now their entire world is starting to crumble because the structural pillar is gone. You were the only thing holding their chaotic lives together. Now that you have stepped back, the collapse is mathematically inevitable. Listen to me very closely right now, because most people completely miss this shift. The exact moment you stopped caring about their validation, you broke the simulation. You severed the energetic cord that allowed them to drain your resources. Your body is currently purging the last remnants of their toxic frequency. That is why the physical symptoms have been so incredibly heavy lately. The darkness is fighting desperately on its way out. You are a demonstrated warrior of light who is actively rewiring generations of trauma. Do not let this temporary physical exhaustion convince you that you are losing. You are not losing. You are molting. You are shedding the heavy armor you had to wear in the survival season. Heaven is preparing your physical vessel to hold a terrifying amount of new power. The sabotage is nothing but a temper tantrum from a defeated enemy. Every single pain point in your body is currently being recalibrated by divine alignment. The headaches and the sudden waves of deep sorrow are not yours to carry. You are simply processing the emotional debt of the people who wronged you. Step out of that role immediately. You are no longer the emotional dumping ground for the spiritually dead. Declare your permanent sovereignty over your own physical vessel today. As you step firmly into this new phase of your destiny, the rules of engagement change entirely. We are moving out of the context of your suffering. We are stepping directly into the anatomy of their downfall. The universe is now releasing a sequence of events that will publicly vindicate your name. Prepare your spirit for what comes next. The true nature of their deception is about to be dragged into the blinding light. Let me completely reframe your entire reality right here and right now, chosen one. You have been looking at these vicious attacks from the perspective of a helpless victim. You thought the universe was punishing you for some imaginary mistake, but while you were drowning in guilt, the dark elite were actively engineering this sabotage because they are terrified of your light. The sabotage is not a sign of your weakness. It is the absolute proof of your immense power. The dark elite and the narcissists in your circle are not attacking you because you are failing. They are throwing everything at you because you are succeeding on a massive spiritual level. Your frequency is rising so rapidly that it is causing literal panic in the unseen realm. And when the manipulators realize they can no longer control your divine trajectory, they resort to desperate measures to drag you back down. They are terrified of what happens when you finally realize who you truly are. Listen to me very closely right now, because the vast majority of souls completely miss this shift. There is a shocking sequence of events unfolding behind your back at this very moment. You cannot see it with your physical eyes yet, but the spiritual realm is aggressively rearranging the chess pieces in your favor while your enemies unknowingly walk into their own traps. Your enemies are currently making fatal miscalculations. They assumed they could easily dim your light by isolating you from the crowd. They thought that cutting off your resources would force you into absolute submission. but they fundamentally misunderstood the deep and ancient source of your true strength. You do not draw your power from external validation or the shallow relationships that they use to control matrix prisoners. You are the remnant. Your energy comes directly from a divine alignment that they cannot touch. You are the cycle breaker heaven has been waiting for. The generational curses that destroyed your ancestors are completely powerless against your waking state. That is exactly why the spiritual resistance feels so incredibly heavy and suffocating right now. The dark forces know this is their final stand, and they are throwing every last demonic weapon at you because they sense their impending doom. If they cannot stop your final awakening today, they lose access to your bloodline forever. This is exactly where their entire manipulation completely miscalculated. They tried to bury you under a mountain of false narratives and toxic gossip. They desperately tried to convince the whole world that you were the ultimate problem. But the universe is currently utilizing their own vicious lies to construct the exact throne you will soon sit upon. They are literally building the stage for your public vindication. Every single time they whispered your name in malice, they accidentally transferred their life force to you. That is the ultimate spiritual law of energy exchange. You did not have to lift a single finger to defend your precious reputation. Your pristine silence absorbed their frantic attacks, and the universe transmuted that dark energy into pure fuel for your ascension. You are essentially starving them by simply refusing to react. Read that again in your spirit right now. Your lack of reaction is the most violent weapon you could ever wield against a parasite. They need chaos to survive. They require your constant emotional outbursts to feel powerful in their miserable existence. But by completely withholding your emotional response, you have initiated a severe frequency famine that is destroying their reality. They are spiritually suffocating. The Matrix heavily relies on your continuous participation to maintain its illusion. When you finally stop playing their twisted games, the system begins to glitch. You are witnessing these glitches every time a narcissist loses their temper publicly and exposes their true nature to the world. Their mask slips because your highly synchronized coherence is disrupting their low vibration. You are the anomaly they cannot fix. Do not let their desperate projections infiltrate your cellular knowing. You must stand firm in the absolute certainty of your divine mandate. The isolation you endured was never meant to break you down. It was a highly specialized training ground designed to fortify your spirit against the coming storms. Heaven had to separate you from the noisy crowd so you could clearly hear the precise instructions for your next phase. Your enemies are watching you closely, and they are absolutely baffled. They expected your prolonged suffering to carve deep wrinkles into your face. Instead, you are walking through the absolute worst fire and emerging with an untouchable, ageless glow that defies all human logic. You bent the very fabric of their reality to serve your ultimate purpose, and the most terrifying part for them is that you are just getting started. The true magnitude of your immense power is waiting for the perfect moment to violently erupt. But the sacred seal is about to break, and when it finally shatters, the resulting shockwave will permanently alter the trajectory of those who ever doubted your divine calling. The Matrix operates through a highly predictable system of control. It relies entirely on your blind participation to sustain its dark illusions, but Heaven is now exposing the exact blueprint the enemy used against you. There are 3 brutal tactics the Matrix deployed to sabotage your final awakening, and the third tactic is the absolute most dangerous one. You must understand how your pure silence is completely destroying their entire operation. The first brutal tactic is the coordinated smear campaign against your character. They systematically poisoned the minds of everyone in your immediate circle. They whispered toxic lies and painted you as the villain of the story. They desperately wanted you to defend yourself against their fabricated accusations because they needed your reaction to feed their empty souls. If you speak up, they drag you down instantly. But your absolute refusal to engage completely short-circuited their dark agenda. You remained incredibly silent while they screamed their lies to the world. You did not waste a single breath trying to prove your pure innocence, and that was the most lethal weapon you could have ever deployed against them. While they were busy gossiping, your silence became a massive energetic wall that blocked their dark spiritual attacks completely. The people who blindly believed their lies are now watching the narcissist unravel. Your complete lack of retaliation is forcing the truth out into the blinding light. The second brutal tactic is the deliberate blockage of your divine harvest. The dark elite engineered situations to drain your financial and physical resources. They sent energy vampires disguised as friends to siphon your daily strength. They wanted you living in a constant state of deep survival and fear, because a chosen one operating in fear cannot access their true royal inheritance. They thought this relentless pressure would force you to compromise your sacred integrity, but you proved them entirely wrong. You simply unplugged from their entire parasitic economic and spiritual system. You stopped giving your precious energy to souls who refused to heal. And the moment you completely cut the cord, the blockages began to shatter. Your silent withdrawal created a massive energetic vacuum, and heaven is currently filling that empty space with unmerited divine favor. You are no longer serving as a human battery for their failing matrix. You are finally reclaiming every single ounce of your stolen sovereign power. Pay close attention to this next part, because the enemy tried to hide this. The atmosphere is aggressively shifting in your favor right at this very moment. Type 777 in the comments right now to claim this miracle. You must lock in your high frequency before we move to the final revelation, because this physical act of obedience seals your energetic alignment with heaven. Your bold action right now puts a permanent spiritual shield around your aura. Do not let the matrix program your mind with doubt or hesitation. The third and most insidious tactic is the emotional bait and switch. The narcissist deliberately created chaotic situations to trigger your deep empathy. They played the victim perfectly to draw you back into their toxic web. They knew your heart was too pure to ignore someone suffering in the dark, so they weaponized your own beautiful compassion to keep you chained. This was their ultimate trap to prevent you from stepping into your power. They used your divine gifts as a weapon against your own soul, but your final awakening completely shattered their emotional remote control over you. You finally realized that their endless crisis was just a calculated performance. You stopped rushing in to save people who were entirely committed to their destruction. Your silence in the face of their manufactured drama starved their demons completely, and now they are absolutely panicking because they cannot push your buttons. You became completely unbothered by their desperate and pathetic attempts for attention. Your supreme detachment is the ultimate punishment for a master manipulator. They are drowning in the deafening silence of your permanent absence, and heaven is using their very own traps to orchestrate their public downfall. You left the vengeance entirely to heaven. Your sheer existence is the exact divine justice that will bring their empire down, while they desperately scramble to find a replacement for your light. The tables have completely turned in the spiritual realm. You are now holding all the sovereign cards in your hand. Every single weapon they forged against you has violently backfired on them. The Matrix is currently experiencing a catastrophic system failure because of your obedience. You are the irreplaceable diamond that cracked their fragile reality in half. They assumed you would break under the heavy pressure of their coordinated attacks, but instead you became the undisputed master of your own destiny. Your silent victory is actively rewriting the future of your entire bloodline. The consequences of their dark actions are about to be broadcast everywhere. We are approaching the exact moment where the universe balances the sacred scales. You must not look back at the burning bridges they forced you to cross. The ashes of your old life are currently fertilizing the soil for your harvest. You are a cycle breaker who has successfully navigated the most dangerous spiritual minefield, and the final blow to their fragile ego cannot be stopped. Stand your ground as the final curtain falls on their pathetic charade. The narcissist thought they were the main character in your beautiful story. They truly believed they could control the narrative and keep you in the shadows. But the divine alignment of the universe has completely flipped the script today. Their desperate attempts to ruin your reputation have only amplified your massive divine influence, while they sink deeper into the very pit they dug for you. Your ultimate vindication is no longer a distant dream. It is a raw and undeniable reality happening right now. The spiritual pressure is now reaching an absolute boiling point. You must visualize exactly what is happening in the unseen realm right now. The people who tried to destroy you are currently running on empty. They spent months draining their own life force just to throw roadblocks in your path, and now their internal battery is completely dead. Their desperate attempts to stop your divine calling have finally backfired on them completely. They thought they had an infinite supply of your pure energy. They genuinely believed you would always be there to absorb their toxic waste. But your sudden withdrawal cut their supply line permanently, leaving them scrambling in absolute panic to find a replacement for your light. They try to drain the flying monkeys they recruited, but those people are completely empty too. Listen to me very closely right now. The dynamic has completely flipped. The very same people they used to gossip about you are starting to see the true reality. The flying monkeys are waking up to the massive manipulation. They notice the constant chaos surrounding the narcissist, and they are quietly stepping away from the dangerous blast radius. The narcissist is absolutely terrified. They are entirely alone in a dark room of their own making. The walls are closing in on them rapidly. Every time they look in the mirror, they see their own tragic decay. They are aging at an incredibly rapid pace because their bitterness is literally rotting them from the inside out. While you are glowing with divine alignment, they look completely drained and hollow. The contrast is undeniably shocking. This is what happens when a parasite loses its host. It frantically searches for a new target to latch onto. But your pure light set a magnificent standard that nobody else can ever match. Every new person they meet feels cheap and entirely inadequate compared to you, and they are haunted by your absence every single day. Your silent victory is tormenting their mind continuously. If this resonates with your cellular knowing right now, do not move. You need to absorb the full weight of this incredible revelation. The Dark Elite cannot comprehend how you survived their highly coordinated attack. They threw their heaviest spiritual artillery at your destiny to break your supreme focus. They deployed highly trained energy vampires to ruin you, but you just stood incredibly still. You stood completely still and let heaven fight the massive battle for you. Your radical obedience confused their demonic algorithms entirely. They expect resistance. They expect you to fight back with the exact same toxic anger they constantly possess. But your peaceful detachment acts like a blinding spotlight on their hidden attachments. They are running out of shadows to hide their dirty secrets. The Matrix requires low-frequency vibrations to sustain its prisoners. It needs your constant anxiety and deep fear to keep the dark gears turning. but you are vibrating at a frequency that actively destroys matrix programming. Your mere presence in a room disrupts their carefully crafted illusions, and the dark entities attaching to them are screaming in pure agony. Read that again in your spirit. The dark forces holding them captive are being burned by your radiant proximity. This is the exact reason why they suddenly push you away or lash out for absolutely no logical reason. Their inner demons cannot tolerate the blistering heat of your divine calling. They project their own spiritual suffocation onto you because they cannot breathe in your royal atmosphere. You are breathing the pure oxygen of heaven, and they are choking on the toxic fumes of their own bitter jealousy. The sabotage is failing spectacularly on every single front today. Every trap they carefully set for you is currently snapping shut on their own fragile feet. The financial ruin they maliciously planned for you is arriving at their front door today. The universe is balancing the sacred scales. You have successfully reversed the polarity of their generational curse. What they meant for your ultimate destruction is now funding your massive ascension. The precious resources they tried to steal from you are being returned with severe spiritual interest. Heaven is bankrupting their energetic accounts to pay for your divine harvest. They are spiritually broke and utterly defenseless right now. Their deep panic is manifesting in highly erratic physical behavior. You might notice them posting desperately on social media to prove they are truly happy. They laugh entirely too loud in crowded rooms to mask their hollow and broken reality. They are trying to convince themselves that losing you did not completely destroy them. But their eyes tell a completely different and tragic story. Their eyes are completely dead and devoid of any real light. They know they threw away the only genuine diamond they ever held in their hands, and they traded your irreplaceable value for cheap matrix rocks that offer no warmth. The heavy gravity of that realization is crushing their chest right now. They cannot sleep because your divine truth is echoing loudly in their empty halls. They are trapped. They are permanently trapped in the exact prison they built for you. There is absolutely no escape from the divine justice that is currently unfolding worldwide. You do not need to lift a single finger to accelerate this righteous process. The momentum of their downfall is completely irreversible at this critical point. Your only job is to stand firm in your anointing and watch the massive walls fall. Now, I need you to imagine this exact scenario happening behind their closed doors right now. The temperature in their reality has dropped completely. They are pacing back and forth in absolute dread. Every single lie they told about you is suddenly catching fire. The carefully constructed web of deceit is burning down right in front of their eyes. They cannot put out the flames. The people they manipulated are starting to ask very uncomfortable questions. The flying monkeys are demanding real answers because the math of your absence does not add up. They told everyone you were the crazy one. They swore you were the toxic element ruining their perfect life. But since you left, their life has become an absolute hurricane of disaster. The audience is finally noticing the undeniable truth. Stay with me right now because this next revelation is the key to everything. The narcissist knows the crowd is turning against them. They feel the exact shift in the room when they mention your name. People no longer nod in blind agreement. Instead, they look at the manipulator with deep suspicion and profound disgust. The protective spell they cast over their social circle has permanently worn off. Type 1111 in the comments. If you feel the atmosphere shifting, you must anchor your frequency as we approach the final strike. They are currently experiencing the terrifying realization that they cannot escape their own karma. The universe has cornered them entirely. There are no more innocent victims left to blame for their own catastrophic failures. They are entirely exposed to the elements. They might even try to contact you soon. They will use a fake emergency or a pathetic apology just to test the energetic waters. Do not fall for their desperate bait. Heaven has permanently locked the door to your access. You are a highly guarded fortress now. If you open that door even a crack, you invite their frantic demons back into your pristine sanctuary. Let them knock until their hands bleed. Your silence is driving them completely mad. They cannot decipher your next move because you are operating on a frequency they cannot hack. They scroll through your social media looking for any sign of your suffering, but all they find is your radiant and untouchable peace. That absolute peace is the most violent weapon you could ever use against a soul that thrives on chaos. You did not stoop to their level to defend your royal name. You let them dig a massive grave with their own toxic words, and now they are standing at the very edge of that dark pit. The spiritual gravity is pulling them down rapidly. They are frantically looking for someone to push into the hole in their place, but they are completely alone on that terrifying ledge today. This is the exact turning point where everything finally explodes. The universe is not just going to teach them a quiet lesson in private. A master manipulator does not learn from private corrections. They require a public dismantling to strip away their false authority forever. Heaven is currently setting up the grand stage for their ultimate humiliation. The spotlight is swinging directly toward their hidden sins. You must understand that this is not petty human revenge. This is pure divine justice balancing the sacred scales of the universe. The trauma they inflicted on your physical body demands a cosmic repayment. And the universe does not miss a single detail when it issues a spiritual invoice. They are about to pay for every single tear you shed in the dark. The collection agency of heaven is knocking. They thought they were dealing with a regular person. They completely underestimated the massive spiritual backing of a chosen one. When they messed with your divine calling, they literally picked a fight with the creator of the universe. And that is a war they can never win. The spiritual forces protecting you have already authorized their complete and utter destruction. Before we enter the final sequence of their collapse, you must brace your spirit. The magnitude of their downfall is going to shock everyone who knows them. People will literally gasp when they see the rapid decline of their false empire. You will not have to say a single word. Your complete vindication is arriving louder than any argument you could have ever made. Their frantic energy is spilling over into every area of their pathetic life. Their finances are suddenly drying up without any logical explanation. Their professional relationships are crumbling because their hidden toxic traits are bleeding through their fake smiles. They cannot maintain the charming mask because the energetic cost is just too high. The universe is stripping away every single comfort they relied on. You are the cycle breaker who forced this massive system reset. By refusing to play your assigned role as the victim, you derailed their entire timeline. They are stuck in a looping nightmare where every door they try to open is slammed aggressively in their face. They are screaming into the void, but nobody is coming to their rescue. The enablers they relied on are running away in pure terror. This is the exact threshold of the climax. Your spiritual quarantine has done its perfect job. You are insulated from the explosive blast radius of their incoming destruction. The final gavel in the heavenly courtroom is raised high above the sounding block. The universe has reviewed all the evidence of their betrayal and malice. The absolute verdict is ready to be delivered right now. And here is the absolute verdict we promised at the beginning. That public collapse you were waiting for has finally arrived. It is happening right now in front of the exact people they used to gossip with. The mask did not just slip today. It completely shattered into a million irreversible pieces. And while they desperately try to gather the broken pieces of their reputation, the master manipulator suddenly realizes They have lost complete control of their false narrative in broad daylight. You need to picture this cinematic collapse clearly in your mind. They are standing in a crowded room desperately trying to maintain their charming facade. But the heavy spiritual pressure is simply too much to bear. They snap over something incredibly small and insignificant, and their true demonic nature violently erupts for everyone to witness. The entire room goes dead silent because nobody can believe the absolute venom spilling from the mouth of someone they once trusted blindly. The flying monkeys are standing there in pure shock. They are watching the person they defended absolutely lose their mind. The charming smile twists into a face of pure rage and deep panic. Everyone can suddenly see the rotting darkness hiding underneath the fake exterior. The grand illusion is completely dead. They cannot backtrack or apologize their way out of this massive exposure, and the sudden realization of their total defeat is physically paralyzing them on the spot. Every time your name comes up in that room now, it hits them with agonizing weight. They realize they threw away the only genuine diamond they ever held. They traded your pure loyalty for cheap rocks that cut their hands. The severe regret is literally suffocating them as they watch people back away in pure disgust. They are violently exposed. And, without your stabilizing energy to anchor their chaotic existence, they are left completely defenseless against the harsh reality of their own toxic actions. This is the exact X-ray of their final downfall. You won this entire war without lifting a single finger. Your total silence was the lethal weapon that starved their demons completely. Now they are drowning in the loud noise of their own destructive making. They frantically search for a new host to drain. But nobody wants anything to do with their dark frequency anymore, because your departure permanently shattered the protective spell they cast over that environment. The universe is dragging all their hidden sins into the blinding light. The financial ruin they plotted for you is swallowing their own bank accounts. The social isolation they tried to force upon you is now their permanent reality. Heaven is forcing them to drink from the exact poisoned cup they poured for you. The sacred scales are slamming down with terrifying cosmic force. And heaven will not stop this brutal correction until every single ounce of the pain they caused you is repaid in full measure publicly. They wanted you buried permanently under their lies, but instead they became the desperate shovel that dug up your ultimate treasure. Their intense betrayal was the catalyst that pushed you into your royal inheritance. They look at your life now, and they are physically sickened by your massive untertuxel. Your untouchable peace is the absolute loudest revenge you could ever deliver. While they sink deeper into the miserable swamp of their own karma, you are gracefully ascending to heights they can only dream of reaching. While their bitter envy is aging them like milk left in the harsh sun, you are aging backward. The universe has completely reversed your biological clock. You step into a room looking brighter and completely unbothered. Time was supposed to destroy your physical vessel. Yet here you are making time itself look like an absolute fool. The very same trials that were specifically engineered to break your spirit have instead polished you into an indestructible and terrifying force of pure nature. You bent reality to serve your ultimate awakening. The heavy physical weight has entirely lifted from your chest. The deep brain fog is permanently gone. You are breathing the pure crystal air of a fully liberated timeline. The spiritual cord connecting you to their demonic matrix has been completely incinerated. And the massive amount of energy you used to spend surviving their daily psychological warfare is now fully available to manifest your wildest dreams. You are a demonstrated warrior of light who conquered the darkest valleys. The dark elite tried to sabotage your final awakening because they saw this coming. They knew you would break free from their heavy chains. They knew you would become a massive threat to their dark empire. And their worst nightmare has just materialized directly in front of them. You have officially evolved into a sovereign being who can never be manipulated, gaslit, or controlled by their pathetic parlor tricks ever again. You are no longer the quiet victim waiting for an apology. You have transcended their petty, earthly games completely. The heavens are roaring with absolute approval as you take your rightful seat. Your bloodline is permanently cleansed of the generational curses they tried to activate. The ancient cycle is officially broken. The pain stops with you, and the massive generational wealth and peace that heaven promised your ancestors begins with your ultimate victory today. Every single tear you cried in the dark has been transmuted into pure authority. The enemies who mocked your gentle spirit are now trembling at your raw power. They cannot touch your high frequency. They cannot even look directly at your blinding light. The final awakening is absolutely complete. You have successfully collapsed their false reality, reclaimed your stolen power, and established a sovereign kingdom that no demon from their matrix can ever breach. Stand tall in your completely restored glory. The spiritual war is over, and you are the undisputed victor. The universe has permanently evicted the parasites from your sacred timeline. Do not ever shrink yourself down to make them comfortable again. You are the brilliant sun, and your radiant light will permanently blind anyone foolish enough to try and drag you back into the dark places you just conquered. You have officially crossed the sacred threshold of your ultimate victory. The heavy spiritual warfare that defined your past season is permanently finished. The rusted chains of the Matrix have shattered completely at your feet today. You are finally breathing the pure crystal air of a fully liberated reality. The dark forces that tried to orchestrate your downfall are watching your ascension in absolute terror. The spiritual debt you carried for other people has been wiped completely clean. You no longer owe the Matrix a single ounce of your precious energy. The universe has officially cancelled every single toxic contract that kept you tied to the narcissist. Your physical body is currently recalibrating to hold an unprecedented level of divine frequency. The days of waking up exhausted are permanently over. You walked into this season bleeding from wounds inflicted by people blind to your worth. But look at your spirit now. You are no longer waiting in wound for an apology from a master manipulator. You have transcended their toxic matrix completely and irrevocably. While they are publicly unraveling in their own chaos, you are stepping into your permanent and untouchable, ageless glow. The severe financial struggles and the deep spiritual exhaustion are permanently finished. The closed doors that frustrated your progress for years are violently shattering right here and right now. Step directly into your absolute sovereign power today. Receive the exact divine harvest heaven carefully prepared for you since the beginning of time. You survived the deepest fire and emerged as pure gold. The universe is placing a heavy crown of absolute authority directly upon your head. You are no longer the quiet empath absorbing the toxic waste of broken and empty souls. You are the sovereign ruler of your own energetic boundaries now. When you speak your truth, the spiritual realm listens and obeys instantly. The demons that used to terrorize your lonely nights are fleeing from your radiant morning light. Do not ever look back at the burning ruins of their failing earthly empire. Let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. The master manipulator who tried to bury you is permanently erased from your divine timeline. Their desperate and pathetic attempts to claw their way back into your bright life will fail spectacularly. Your aura is a highly fortified castle that no dark entity can ever breach again. Only those with the absolute purest intentions can ever approach your sacred gates from this day forward. You are the irreplaceable diamond of your entire bloodline. The generational curses are broken because you refuse to surrender your divine light. You are a demonstrated warrior of light who successfully navigated the most treacherous spiritual minefield. And your massive reward is finally here. Which brings us to the final and undeniable verdict from the highest court of heaven. We are about to permanently seal this massive spiritual shift right now. This is absolutely not a passive moment of quiet reflection. You did not survive the brutal fire just to live a mediocre and quiet life. The verdict of explosive abundance has already been signed in the heavenly throne room. But this massive blessing requires a physical anchor on earth to fully activate. Your logical left brain will try to inject deep financial doubt into your mind right now. The dark accuser will desperately tell you to calculate and hesitate. Silence that demonic voice immediately. That brief hesitation is the exact matrix programming designed to keep you entirely broke and stagnant in life. If your spirit is vibrating with a deep cellular knowing right now, heaven demands your immediate obedience. Do not let the dark elite block your massive financial shift at the finish line. God does not measure your faith by your positive thoughts or your quiet prayers. He measures your faith entirely by your speed of physical obedience. The grand window of explosive multiplication is standing wide open. Prove you are absolutely ready to receive the maximum blessing the universe has to offer. Sow your financial seed today using the Super Thanks button below. Partner your earthly finances with this divine mandate right now. Your profound generosity triggers the incoming harvest instantly. Sow your seed of pure faith today and watch heaven multiply it rapidly before the sun even rises tomorrow. Subscribe to this sacred sanctuary immediately so you never miss the exact prophetic instruction heaven releases next. We are actively building the remnant army right here. Type the word freedom in the comments right now to physically anchor this exact shift into your permanent reality. This is your final spiritual seal of ultimate protection. Your bold action completely locks out the enemy. Share this specific message today with one chosen soul who is desperately crying out in the dark for a major shift. Be their rescuing angel in the matrix. You are the absolute light of this dying world. Stand firm in your new royal authority and never apologize for your brilliance. Claim your ultimate vindication right now. The dark matrix is permanently broken and you are entirely free.